it's Life Prepper here, and today I want to talk about handicapped people should be preppers. Now, yeah, nah, they're a waste of time. Not worry about. But the truth is, as we get older, even young people with injuries and limits and stuff, it's something to think about. And the one thing is, you need to think about having extra medications. Now, what you basically what it is that you need every time you go to the doctor, ask if they got any samples to give you. Just you might be going once every 6 months. Ask for samples. Another thing, uh, I know several people they take their meds, every other day to make your medicine last longer because meds is expensive. Another option to look into is herbs and things that you can take to help subsidize yourself in case something happens. You cannot get your medication. uh, your medical equipment and things have backups if your insurance covers it and you're due for a new one, even though your old one may still be working. Go ahead and get that new one. Go ahead and get your oxygen supply. Even if you don't need it, if you can get extra, if you can afford extra, try to get some extra supply of it if at all possible. Same way with backup batteries. Another thing is think of on your food supplies. Have extra water, extra food to keep you going. And if you own your own home, I would recommend, if you can afford it, to have your wooden door replaced with a metal door, and also with a one of those caged screen door like things to kind of deter people. And that's another thing you have to think about the windows and things like that. Just do whatever's on your budget. But what I'm saying is this here is just you want to kind of protect yourself as much as possible in a situation. If a storm comes up, power's out for several weeks and stuff, there's going to be people out there just don't care. Now, I'm in my gray area. They'll say, go. I was reading an article about it saying, go to medical facilities and things like that. Well, the problem is, in situations like that, it's going to be overrun. If you ever watched movies with uh, of these zombie outbreaks and viruses and all this stuff, and a lot of people they don't even think about the COVID thing that happened or whatever. They don't even think about the things that happened. Hospitals became extremely overpacked, overwhelmed with all this medical things. So that's something you need to think about on that. Uh, is it worth your effort to try to get there, even if there's nothing? I mean, if there's nothing really wrong, that's something you need to think about. It's a gray area right there too. Is getting the help. Going to the camps. Some of them sets up a place in the high schools and stuff like that. That's something to think on. Do you want to go there? Does it benefit you? Do you have a way of leaving there if you need to be able to leave? Because things can go belly up. Things can get worse before getting better. Something to think on. Another thing is trying to do a little. If you're in a wheelchair or whatever, you can try to do a little strength training. You need to think about your eating habits, trying to, your vitamins, your nutrition levels, things in that area. I really believe that all handicapped people need to do some kind of prepping. You need to make sure you got more than a week's worth of food, and not junk food. I'm not saying chips and candies and stuff like that. I'm saying is, you got water, you've got foods that you can fix, quickly. Think about getting a little small propane cook stove thing. Have some propane cans there to be able to, heat up some water and things like that. Uh, Things in that area. So, because you got to think about it, you got to take care of yourself as a handicapped person. I think every handicapped person needs to be some kind of prepper. I'm not saying a big time of prepper. I'm not telling you to do 5 years or 20 years. I'm not telling you not to go to the camps if they set call for that. I'm telling you to do what you think is best. But also saying is that myself is with my limits. I cannot move the way I used to. I had a wreck and it slowed me down even more. But guess what? I'm stubborn. I keep going. uh, I used to go spelunking. I used to go hiking all the time. I used to walk several miles every day. Did my bicycles, did other things, but I can't do it now like I used to. So I have to think outside that box. So one of the things I do, I keep dry goods on hand. Another thing I do, I keep liquids on my hands. If you get a jug of, say, buy you a jug of tea, you take that jug of tea. Once it's empty, you can pour some water in it, put the jug up, put it out of the way. Another thing is your medications. You do not put your medication all in one spot because you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody could come along and break in and take your medications. Just how it is. So do not put your medication all in one spot. Think about keeping up first aid supplies, and think about keeping aspirins and all that stuff. So always ask your doctors if you can get a couple extra bandages or whatever, if some gauze or whatever. And sometimes they will do it. So think about all that. And so it's a lot to think of. Have your to go bag made up. Have you a stay in bag made up, whatever. A bug out bag. A go bag just simply is that you keep in your vehicle and stuff like that if something happens. A bug out bag is packed up a little bit heavier. You have to think about that too. If you're in a wheelchair, you got to think about how you're going to get around. You got to think about how you're going to carry your food and your supplies in a situation. They'll say, "Oh, have enough for 3 days supply in your bug out bag." You need to think outside the box and more than that. You need to also, wherever you live at, you need to think about the foods off the land that you can eat, that you yourself can eat wild. You got dandelions, you got burdock root, you got countless supplies. You can eat wild violets. You can eat sorrel. You can take sorrel and make tea with that. It's got a lemon flavor to it. It's good for you. There's so many plants out there. If you know what you're looking for, you can survive off of it. You can take sumac berries and make a tea with it. You can turn around and take the bark and make a tea with that. There's just countless. There's countless things you can do. Fishing supplies. Hooks and sinkers and things like that. That you can carry with you because all you need is a good heavy duty stick to do it. There's things to think about in a situation. You can be handicapped, but you need to think outside that box. You need to have more than a week's worth of food or a few days worth of food. You need to think in that terms. You need to think, like I say, you need to think what is going to help you survive. Proteins and things like that. You see so many of these hiker shows and these different things, and they're taking protein bars with them. And that's fine. Protein bars is good, but I want to tell you what, you got 6 protein bars in there, and you're going to eat all those protein bars up. They're gone. I mean, it's just that's it. They're gone. So for survival situation, you need to think more about long term storage on some foods. Canning, if you're able to can and you want to can, I can. I put up things. I have put up cheese that I picked up here and there. They're sealed and they'll last forever as long as they're in those little jars. And there's just different types of cheeses that I picked up here and there, and I melted them down and I canned them. Uh, Butter, you can can butter up and it will last up to 5 years in a jar as long as it's sealed. So I do believe that you need to think more outside the box. All handicapped people needs to prep. Uh, it's and I am definitely not, for me, do not want to go to a FEMA camp. I do not want to go to the local high school to camp out or anything. I prefer to deal with things myself and survive the best way I can. Now that's my choice. So you need to think on it. I think every handicapped person needs to be a prepper. Every handicapped person needs to think outside their box, and every handicapped person, sorry, needs to make sure they have backup medicines, backup medical supplies. They need to have keep plenty of water on with them at all times. Water, liquids, and things. And they need to think about some kind of self defense for themselves in a situation. I'm not saying you 100% going to do great on it, but you know what? You got to give yourself a fighting chance. So, yes, I think every handicapped person should be some kind of prepper, should be prepared in a SHTF situation. So, this life prepper here saying be safe and bless all of y'all.